Hijo de la chingada. Okay. There's several things, several thoughts, and several things I want to say in regards to the Sharks' performance versus the Minnesota Wild. With that, Andres from AA Sports. The Sharks lost 8-7 in overtime to the Minnesota Wild. I'll be honest, this was a crazy game that nobody, including myself, expected to be so high scoring, but seeing how the game unfolded and how incredibly awesome the Sharks played offensively, they should have freaking won that game. They went toe-to-toe with this Minnesota Wild team. They ended up falling 3 goals behind in the third period, but they still kept fighting. Smitty and Celebrini again doing some incredible Smitty and Celebrini things. Kovalenko balled out as well on the top line. He got another top line opportunity and had a great game. Celebrini had his first ever hat trick, and they tied the game somehow. They somehow forced OT. The young players played their hearts and souls out, only for the blue line and goaltending to let them down in a way that was more painful than the 4-3 home loss versus Winnipeg. And that loss was heartbreaking already. This loss is a whole other level of heartbreaking and disappointing. And not to mention, not only was it the blue line and the goaltending that let them down, it was also the coach, Warsofsky, who was just, oh my God, who were absolutely stupid in that decision to start Georgiev. Georgiev, who's only good for forgiving. Not only did he forgive, he did it twice in one game. 8 goals conceded by the goalie, and somehow was allowed to stay on the damn ice. Well, everyone on defense can be criticized. Warsaw and Georgiev are the ones who, in my opinion, more than anybody, owe Celebrini a genuine apology, given how good of a game Celebrini had. I'm not even going to take the time to give a timeline of the game. I can sort of give that in terms of my breakdown for the grades. I'm sorry, the more time I spend on this video, and talking about this result, the more I'm just going to lose my damn brain cells. So, yeah, here we go. The San Jose Sharks lost 8-7 in overtime versus the Minnesota Wild. Oh boy, here are the Sharks' grades for this performance. Offensive front, A+. Macklin Celebrini was the heart and soul of the offense in this game, scoring his first career hat trick, along with 2 assists in this game. He now has 62 points for the season, which is now the new franchise record for a rookie. But it wasn't just him who played well offensively. Will Smith had a goal and 3 assists, and Celebrini and Smitty continued doing Celebrini and Smitty things. Nikolai Kovalenko had a great game as well with the Sharks. He scored the Sharks' 5th goal. Toffoli, who returned to the lineup after missing a couple games due to injury, scored the first goal of the game, and Carl Grundstrom scored the 3rd goal of the game. And remember, in the third period, they fell behind by 3 goals. This team could have just lost right then and there. They could have, accepted their fate after Minnesota's 7th goal. But they kept going and forced overtime. And Macklin Celebrini with his hat trick, just a world-class performance that was definitely coming for a while. But it got wasted because of the Sharks have a very weak, limited blue line, and the fact that they're injured doesn't help either. And then the goalkeeper is, we're going to have a talk about that one in a few moments. But the offensive front, A grade. I mean, I cannot be mad with how they performed because they were not the problem in this game. Defensemen, C-. Starting with the top defensive line of Ferraro and Liljegren, Ferraro was having a pretty good game until he had to step out due to injury. He took a shot to the body and he was done for the night. Not good. You hate to see these type of injuries, especially for a team that is so weak and limited defensively. And what doesn't help in that regard either is that we now have word that it looks like Ferraro is going to be out for the remainder of the season. So this injured and limited defense only gets more injured and limited. As for Liljegren did a good job contributing offensively. He had 2 assists, including 1 primary assist. But defensively, he has been a bit inconsistent, to best describe it. He had a very bad giveaway in this game from behind the net where he just forced the puck along the boards with no teammates there to receive it. And while he was a bit out of position in the overtime period, at that point, having more burden with Mario Ferraro hurt, he was visibly tired, and while, again, not ideal, I'm not sure if there was more he could have done in that scenario. Henry Thrun and Lucas Carlson made up the second line, and they underwhelmed massively. Thrun also had some bad giveaways in this game. He has been very, very indecisive when it comes to his puck-playing abilities. Carlson's form has fallen a bit, and over the last few games, he has gotten into some costly penalty trouble. This game was no different, and on a team that is already awful on the penalty kill, that's just a disastrous recipe for SJ. Look for him to really try and, work on that, especially if he wants to be part of the main squad next year. If he wants to be part of that main squad, the first thing he's got to do is just not be this penalty machine on the blue line. And in the third line of Vlasic and Thompson, Vlasic wasn't as involved as others, but at the same time also was not counterproductive. He didn't do nothing that hurt the team. Thompson had 2 assists in the game, so in terms of offensive contributions, you can't complain there. But defensively, he looked decent at best, but mostly average. Overall, for the defensemen, Liljegren and Thompson had a couple good moments where they contributed offensively with assists. But outside of that, we just mostly saw why the Sharks have the worst defense in the league. The worst defense in the league by a mile. Granted, they ended up losing Ferraro in this game after he took a stinger to the body, blocking a shot from distance. That put more burden on guys like Liljegren. Mukama Dulin is also out for the year with that shoulder injury from the game versus Anaheim. Defensively, the Sharks are very beat up as we near the end of the season, and with Ferraro having to come out of the game and now being out for the year, I'll give them some mercy here and say C- instead of a D or D- grade. But it's still not exactly good. Enforcers. Enforcers, I gave them a C grade. Osipchuk wasn't incredibly impactful, but like Vlasic, he also was not counterproductive on the ice. Gregor had a couple of moments where he showed his speed in the game, but outside of that, like the last game, he was just present and going through the motions with really nothing to show for it. I'll say the same thing for Ty Dellandrea. Goodrow had 1 close chance, but it was stopped by Marc-Andre Fleury, the Minnesota Wild goalkeeper. They were present on the ice and bench, and while they didn't have any major blunders, they also weren't very notable or active in the goal scoring, like the 2 teenagers on the top line were. And now, I really don't even want to talk about this next grade category. I mean, honestly, the scoreboard and how many goals were conceded are pretty self-explanatory in regards to the grade. But I have my grading categories, I have my grading rubric, and it would not be a complete grades video without talking about the performance from the man wearing the goalie pads in between the posts. Here we go. Goalkeeper. F. Yeah, F. And honestly, if there was a grade lower than an F, I would give Georgiev that without question. Georgiev was back in front of the net, and you know what that means. Not only did he forgive again, he did it twice in this game. Well, okay, I will say this, and some people are like, okay, you got to give him slack here. Not really. While it is true that the defense that is tasked with helping him out was not good, as well as injured. At the same time, no average goalie, or even not even good or elite goalie like Mackenzie Blackwood, or any other elite goalie in the league, like Dustin Wolf right now, who's having a really good rookie season. No, like not even a good or elite goalie, just an average goalie. No average goalie in the league would ever concede 8 goals in one game. Hell, if they even conceded 4 or 5, they would likely get pulled from the game. In a game where the offense was able to essentially make up for the defensive struggles with 7 goals, it made Georgiev arguably one of the 2 biggest reasons they lost this game. That first goal conceded to Johansson was a weak one to concede. It was from far out with not a whole lot of traffic in front of him, and it deflects off his glove before going in. There was just no reflexes there at all from Georgiev. Then he got nutmegged on the 5th goal. The puck went right in between his legs. And the 7th goal was one that Romanov could have saved for sure. If only he was starting, right? If our other better goalie was starting in this game, aka Georgi Romanov, it would have, could have, and should have been a 7-5 Sharks win. But instead, we get Georgiev, which was not only a guaranteed FOURGIEV'D, he FOURGIEV'd twice and had a save percentage of only 82%. Yeah, only 82%. Pathetic and embarrassing. He was the reason the Sharks fell behind 3 goals in the 3rd period, and he undid all the offensive front's hard work of forcing overtime by conceding an 8th goal in overtime, sealing the double FOURGIEV'D. Now, head coach, F. After doing the right thing in the game versus Calgary by starting Romanov following Georgiev's FOURGIEV'D versus the Kraken, Ryan Warsofsky follows that up by doing the wrong thing. Warsofsky gave credit to the team after the game, praising their resilience and ability to bounce back after being down 3 goals. I don't remember the quote directly, but he said, he gave them credit saying that they could have easily, mailed it in and folded, but they didn't. They regrouped and still, the offensive front still found a way to get back in this game. And he's right. The players didn't give up or mail it in. But Warsofsky, you did. He kept Georgiev on the ice when we all knew the painful to watch outcome that would come from that decision. Warsofsky, along with Georgiev, both owe Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith apologies for this loss. Why Warsaw didn't pull Georgiev off for Romanov after he FOURGIEV'd the first time was absolutely beyond me. Most coaches would have never let the goaltending get that bad in a game. Warsaw, come on, man. Do the right thing. Save Georgiev from himself and develop Romanov for next year. So those are my grades for the Sharks' performance against the Minnesota Wild. Very frustrating, especially given that, granted, they are trying to tank. They're what, 4-5 points behind the second to last place team in the NHL, in the Chicago Blackhawks. They have leeway to, play competitive and actually try to win these games and build something up for next year. And the fact that they didn't do that because they put a shit goalkeeper in, just absolutely inexcusable. Very questionable decision by Warsaw to let it get that out of hand in between the goalposts. In terms of my team grade, the overall grade of the team as a whole, combining the defense, the enforcers, the goalie, the offensive front, and the coaching, C grade. I think the offensive front and how well Smitty, Celebrini, Kovalenko, and that top line played, I think makes up and essentially saves the overall team grade. That's why I'm giving them a C. You had a great offensive front, but then outside of that, you had a very weak, limited defense like we've seen throughout the entire year. And then Georgiev doing his thing, doing what he does best, and forgiving not only once but twice. And then you had a absolutely head-scratching coaching decision in keeping Georgiev on the ice. That should not have happened. That was inexcusable from Ryan Warsofsky. And well, I get it. He's a rookie coach who's learning at that point. That's a decision that that's a lesson he should have already learned earlier in the season. And we kind of thought he learned that, with games like the results against the Kraken, where he did pull Georgiev off after he forgived. Just inexplicable, inexcusable defensively, and in terms of that coaching decision and just the starting goaltending position. I cannot wait for Yaroslav Askarov to be goalie number 1 next year. Games like this would definitely be they would have definitely won with a guy like Askarov in between the posts. But that'll do it for this video. The Sharks' next game will be tomorrow, I believe, against Edmonton. They're going on one more Canadian road trip before they return next week, where their final game of the season will also be against Edmonton here at the Shark Tank. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below in terms of my grades. Yeah, very frustrating. It definitely was a frustrating video. I think the last time I've done a video this frustrating was probably against the Panthers, or if not that game against, it was either the home games against the Canucks when they lost in overtime, or when they lost to the Jets in the final minutes 4-3 in December. Yeah, it sucks right now. Hopefully the future is better, and hopefully next year we can watch Georgiev forgive for another team instead of forgiving with the Sharks. But that's all for this video, guys. Leave a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. This Sports Passion Project is not just about Sharks content. I will be doing some more videos regarding the Mexico national team, specifically the women's national team, as they had 2 games against Jamaica. I will be doing some performance grades videos for that. So stay tuned there. Check out my other sports content from Mexico, from the 49ers, Sharks as well. And I'll try to see if I can do something for the Masters tournament for for professional golf as well. The first of the 4 majors is taking place right now. That's all for me in this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully the Sharks get a better result in this Canadian road trip. We'll see what happens. Go Sharks.